All right, so Matt started staining his project here last week or earlier this week, and a lot of times kids get kind of worried about what it looks like because there's blemishes and all that over that, but you have to look beyond this because the mirror actually goes inside behind all these moldings right here, so you'll never see any of this here. A couple things that Matt did notice before he stained, he had mentioned to me that he had a spot where a nail poked through, and it's not a huge deal. We pushed it down in, and I said just stain over it and we'll color it in with a crayon at the end. And he then put his coat of stain on, and he mentioned to me that he saw that he had some glue that had poked through in a few areas. Now I'm going to ask you this. Obviously, can you see this in the camera right there by any chance? Let me see this. You can raise it up if you want. Yep. So you can see this, right, in the camera? Now, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take your finger, and I want you to go like this. Tell me what you feel.
It's raised a little bit.
It is. So it's easily detectable, right? Now, I did go over this a little bit and looked at it before I told you to go ahead and stain. And I did not run my fingers all over everything on it. But now you know, and now for the video, we know that oftentimes you'll see me when I go over these things here, I'll look at our hot spots, which will be, you know, these joints down in here. All right, this butt joint where this kind of butts up to this. Right here we can see where we have a lap joint. We got a little bit of glue right there, don't we? And on the edge over here, you said you got some glue, and I can feel it. It's actually right here. So you have to go over that. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll let you guys go ahead and stain and stuff like that, even if I see a little bit, and I've told you maybe 3 or 4 times to go over it, so that you can see exactly what it looks like. And you pointed this out to me instantly. You're like, oh boy, man, there's some glue right there. And do you know why it sticks out like that?
Because the stain doesn't absorb into the glue.
Exactly, okay, so the stain can't penetrate through that glue. It's like a shield, all right, and it just, boom, pops right out. We didn't really see it, though, when it was on the wood. Now it pops right out. So how do you think you're going to get that out today?
Sand it out.
You're going to have to sand it out. I'd tell you to use a nice piece of 120, and you're going to have to not only sand this area, but then blend a smidge here. All right, you got a little bit right here. You got a few other areas. You might have the chance to restain it here today. Odds are probably not. You'll probably have to do a little bit of sanding here to get it where you want it to go. A few other things that I did notice on this here that would be good to note is if I take my finger right here and I run it down through here, I can see some wet spots of stain that were down in here. And this piece of trim down here, was it really small?
Yeah.
But did it have a tremendous amount of detail even though it was really small?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you are in here and you are staining this, you'll see me, I'll be right down in here and I'll be using my fingernail, you know, and I'll try to get that really good. It's not really noticeable until you're really close to it. And odds are we're not going to be like this at home in our mirror, but just something like that extra little bit really, it's the difference between a good project and a great project. And you saw this instantly and you were like, man, it looked great before you stained it, you were happy. Now that you stained it, you're like, holy smokes, I can't leave it like that. I'd feel like a fool. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna sand this here out today, and maybe I'll catch it in video where you're restaining it, and hopefully we got it out. If not, we'll cross that bridge after this. So I want to show you that, guys. All right, so you successfully sanded out the areas that you think you have had glue on, correct? Yep. So I guess we're going to find out here when we start to put it on today. Do you remember kind of how long you left the stain on for last time? Not too long? Okay. So what I'm going to tell you to do is I'm going to tell you to go ahead and start putting some on, and maybe leave it on there for a minute or so, then we're going to go ahead and start fading it in. I do see a few areas that might have a little bit of glue here or there, but go ahead and do it, and we're going to let the videotape as you're doing it and see what it looks like here in a few minutes. the verdict? Is it looking pretty good so far? Start ripening it, see what it looks like. Looking pretty good. And obviously, so see how it's a little bit lighter there? So what we'll do is we'll probably put a little bit more stain on it, maybe revisit it a few times. Obviously, super important to get in these nooks and crannies too really good. It's a little bit tricky. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just take the brush and just kind of dab it in there and give it a little touch up like that. That's basically what you're going to be doing today. And then that nice crisp corner of that paper towel you'll run right down in there. I'd keep going. I'll tell you what, it's looking pretty positive. But it stinks. It's kind of like taking 2 steps back when you got to sand it out, doesn't it? But it's worth it to go over it, fix it. It's looking pretty good. Just want to make sure too, another spot. Sometimes you get really heavy wet areas in these. Like see this over here? Like this still needs some stain. So you got quite a few touch-ups to do today. Another spot that is easily missed is right down in here on this bottom edge. Like I can see over here, you didn't get in this corner. It's that bottom little half-inch shoulder. It's easily missed right now, but you put that mirror in, and guess what? Boom, it reflects everything. Like, holy smokes, I didn't even get that. Because that mirror is going to reflect all that trim in there. So go ahead and do a few touch-ups here. I'm going to let that video keep running. But if you're satisfied with the way that looks, which is looking pretty darn nice, I might put a little bit on this section here, let it soak in for a minute or two. But I'll keep going, double check all your misses, and we'll revisit it here in 2-3 minutes, see how it looks. Is it dry or? No, it's not. Okay, it's dry. It's dry. Okay. Really careful with these thin ones. There were a few little light taps in there. Did you measure it? Put it up pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Looking pretty good. Sometimes you gotta get right down in there, get personal with it, double check all your little areas, but it's looking pretty good. Looks like you actually need a little bit in here too. The oak's tricky because it's such a porous wood. Let go of that. That section real good. Down here real good. take a look around the whole thing. Yeah, click down here. There's a little bit easier. Yeah, get some areas down in there that you mentioned. Hey, what did, it's actually looking really nice. Looks like, did you sand out down here a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, probably have to put a little bit more. Tell you what, put a little bit of stain down here, let it set in for a minute or so.
Think I should do up there again too?
Where at? Yeah, I'd try, like right here, is that where you saw?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Yeah, let it soak in a smidge. I think on the other side there you might have a little bit to get. You just want to try to make it as uniform as possible, you know?
Yep.
Looks pretty good. Yeah, I think I think you get these little areas here and that other side. I don't really see any spots of glue that are a real major concern, to be honest with you. I do see a few speckles in here, so just make sure that even though we didn't stain everywhere, make sure you take that brush and rub over, you know, every area in case there's any speckles. I'll try to show you here in a minute. Go ahead and wipe this over here real quick too, before that stains it runs. Let it real quick wipe down. And we can just revisit that area periodically as we're putting some stuff on, you know what I mean? Now, do you see the speckles right here in the sun? Make sure we go over that too. I'll kind of blend that in. You can kind of go over the same thing. I mean, any little extra that's on that will kind of, you know, wipe down in as well. Anyways, I think I'm going to end the video here for a little bit. We might cut back in a few minutes, just take a look at the final little look-see gander, but it looks pretty good. All right, so you think you got it, huh? See, it looks pretty good. I'll tell you what, that little bit of sanding out, it definitely helped. How long do you think it took you to sand that stuff out now?
20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes.
Still a decent amount of time. I know a lot of times that stuff kind of sneaks in, but obviously, you know, you can see the importance of really kind of taking a look at it from the sun or the light, try to get a good glare on it. There's a few spots on here I see a little bit of glue, but it's kind of camouflaged in at this point, and I'd be pretty happy with it. Just going to give it a once over, make sure there's no real heavy wet globs on it. Other than that, we'll let it dry and probably put 3-4 coats of poly on it, maybe a little bit more, some paste wax. Put our mirror in. We're in really good shape, so we're nearing the end of it. Looks pretty good, bud. Nice job.